I'm sure you guys have noticed how much of a hit Little Mermaid is with the peoples.
Oh yeah,
We're gonna talk about that.
I'm shocked at how amazing the score for Little Mermaid is. And so many people are really loving
that
it.
actually brings us to our next topic, which
Nice
is
transition.
the lies that Rotten
I'm good.
Tomatoes
You
seems
think
to
I'd be a pro at this?
Yeah, you think you might have read the email with the topic
I didn't,
list.
but I kind of just knew.
So basically, there's a great article by Forbes about something's fishy about the Little Mermaid audience review scores. And it kind of goes into detail. This is something that Gary from Nerdrotics and a bunch of other people have pointed out already multiple times.
We did a video on it.
Yeah. So basically, we have these tomato meter scores for the Little Mermaid. The critic score is at 67.
Look at that
Audience
ratings
score, however,
terrorism.
is at 95. However, as this Forbes article points out, linked to all the articles in the descriptions, by the way. So these numbers include only verified critics and verified audience ratings. So if you look at the total audience ratings, it's actually a much different story. I don't quite know how to change that on here. Let me see if I can click on this real quick. No, that's not right.
Let me get
Anyway,
to it.
I know. I don't know how everybody figures that out. I'm like Matt right now. How do you do the doohickey?
How do you do
the doohickey?
Oh, okay, here
Hey,
it goes.
son, how do you do the doohickey?
So if we go from verified audience to all audience, that's a big difference. 56% rotten. 95%.
That's fake news, Matt.
Can
I
someone
reject
tell
your
me
hypothesis.
How do they equate fake?
All critics versus top critics.
I'm sorry, verified.
Wow.
49%.
It gets worse than this.
But how do they do verified?
Okay, verified if it's an audience member means you actually bought it through Fandango.
Oh, so you can't buy it through like Cinemark and be verified.
Depends on if they're an authorized dealer or whatever, because like some of them, like I think AMC might work off it or whatever, but I think they go through That's the thing. They all funnel through Fandango at the end of the day anyway, like a river. Like
Because
no matter.
I'm sorry, I find it hard to believe though that because there's 5,000 verified ratings and 25,000 normal ratings. I find it hard to believe that many people bought verified, did all that work. I don't.
Well,
it just doesn't add up.
This is in addition to basically Internet Movie Database also kind of like filtering their reviews. So
they didn't even lie about it. They just told us flat out they were going to change the score.
Yeah, IMDb basically has a score for movies between 1 to 10. And they said that there were some suspicious review activity, aka bots, that were review bombing The Little Mermaid, and so they're behind the scenes filtering out certain types of reviews. They're not being very transparent about how they're doing it, but they're trying to get it to a more average rating of I think 7.1 is where it's at currently. But Tom Connors, can you give us a breakdown about why Rotten Tomatoes feels the need to lie about these movies?
So it's not doing very well.
Yeah.
And in this time out, they can't just blame us. If you've noticed, they've shifted their focus to calling everybody overseas a bunch of racists this time. Usually we're the ones behind. But in this case, nobody's really going to see the movie, but the U.S. is going more than anybody else. So they can't point fingers at us this time. But yeah, this movie's drowning in its bad ratings on all fronts. And this idea that anybody could review bomb it or be a review terrorist, as it was translated and badly reported in some news outlets. Basically, I don't understand how anybody would go out of their way for a movie like this. I can understand a DC film. I can understand a Marvel film. There's huge fan bases attached to that will try to sway a film's rating. I just don't see the amount of anti-Disnerds going after this movie. If anything, it's got Disnerds voting it up. Because even randomly, you'll get a few people that are still defending this movie, but it's just at the end of the day, I think they're really just trying to fortify the score on both fronts for the movie, for Disney's sake, for this Halle Bailey's sake, for the sake of the virtue signaling, for the sake of the, ESG credit score, you name it. That's for the reasons why. This movie was made for one reason and one reason only, and that is to make $1 billion and to call you a racist if you didn't get to go see it, because that was their only incentive if it didn't make $1 billion.
Is it going to make $1 billion? I don't have any
Hell
idea.
no, it's
what this
not
thing's
even on
doing.
pace. That's the thing they're trying to cover for now. In fact, Collider even put out an article yesterday claiming that it had hit $250 million worldwide, meaning it had broke even. Okay, first of all, it hadn't even hit 250 million yet. Second of all, that's not even anywhere near breaking even. And this is what's supposed to be an actual news outlet reporting this shit to people. And people will use that now as a look at this. They said right here it broke even. It's like, that's not how movie math works. But okay, let's just say for the sake of argument, even if they did technically break even, they've still got a long ways to go. And this movie's getting its ass kicked by Spider-Verse right now. Like, in fact, it is making like more overseas as far as, you know, Spider-Verse is on par with America right now. So that is going to be a situation where you actually have a movie that has, depending on how big it opens this weekend, the potential to actually make $1 billion. It pisses me off, but that's another story altogether. But
John David, go ahead, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, according to this Screen Rant Rag article, they need at least 500 million at the box office to break even, but they're not even halfway there yet, right? So
yeah, but I want to ask John David, do reviews even matter anymore in this day and age, where you can like just wait a month and watch it on streaming or like whatever? It used to be where, you know, before the advent of the internet and stuff like that, movie critics actually held sway as to whether or not audiences would actually go to the theater. And, you know, that was at a time before VCRs and the home video revolution and stuff like that, where like once a movie left the theater, it was gone pretty much. But nowadays it's like you got YouTube, you got the internet, you got the high seas, you got all types of places where you can see this content eventually for free if you want to. So do these scores actually matter anymore in your opinion?
Well, they obviously think it matters. So it doesn't so much matter what I think in regards to that. So no, these scores don't matter, especially seeing as if you can go to themoviespoiler.com and read everything that happened in the movie. You just say everyone loves this movie. Well, what's making it so great? Or everybody hates this movie. You know, they hate this one moment. Or what's the one moment? And they read precisely what it is. So yeah, in the past, I've always been convinced to either go see or not go see a film as to how they advertised it. I'm not interested in Elemental at all because they're not advertising it very well, if at all, really. But now there always have been certain reviewers who I always relied upon to watch them as to see how they felt. They liked it. Here's why. They didn't like it. Here's why. So I don't.
He's referring to me and my brother.
Clearly, yes.
Clearly.
So yeah, I don't think these reviews matter much anymore to John Q. public, to what's, you know, some people refer to as the normies, just the people who don't spend their time on the internet doing that sort of thing.
Hey guys, if you could do me a quick favor, if you like this episode and it tickles your fancy, or any other episode that we've done in the past, share it on social media and tag us in that post so that we know you're talking about us, and we will immediately jump onto that app and we will respond to your tag, and we can talk about what you like about the episode and possibly talk about something that we might want to cover in the future. And we would love to bring you in our community. We have a wonderful Discord app as well. There's a bunch of people in there that just love chatting with us. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you like this podcast, tag us in that post and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you guys so much. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, you know, Brian, so the top critic score for this movie, it's sitting at 49% right now. And one of the things that surprised me is that both Variety and Hollywood Reporter didn't give it very good reviews. And they're also kind of responsible for kind of piling on the Indy 5 premiere at Cannes. So it seems like the trade publications and a lot of these top critics aren't really drinking the Disney Kool-Aid anymore. They're not kind of moving in lockstep. Why do you think that is?
I think that there might be a lack of proper shilling etiquette going on right now, because normally, even if these hack writers don't like a movie, and even if it's going to be a bad review, they normally pull their punches a lot with these big studios like Disney. And what we're seeing is a lot of these reviewers just going all out on what they don't like now, and they might not be getting the same treatment they had perhaps gotten before. They don't feel maybe as restrictive. Maybe they felt some kind of restriction before where they needed access or they wanted something. So they were, nicer when they gave a bad review. And now it's not the case. I'll tell you this, though. I don't trust them as far as I can throw them. For the last 5 years, I've been complaining about these critics that don't know shit when they talk about, when they talk about stuff on the internet. When they review movies, they don't understand what they're talking about. When you go to Rotten Tomatoes for that next Marvel film or whatever you're going to watch, what score are you looking at? I'm not looking at the critic score and I'm saying, oh, I'm probably going to enjoy this movie. Let me go spend $100 at the theater. I look at the audience rating. That's the only thing I concern myself with. So if I wasn't concerning myself with what critics thought for the last 5 years, I'm not sure why I would concern myself with what they think now. That was actually one thing I want to complain about is a bunch of our buddies in the YouTube space are like, see, I told you Indiana Jones is going to be bad. Look at what the critics are saying. Those same exact people, like 6 months ago, were criticizing and roasting those exact same critics. You can't have it both ways, dude. These guys, they didn't magically get up and decide, oh, today I'm not going to be a giant fart-sniffing shill. They're still the same person. The only difference is you just happen to agree with them today. That's the only difference.
My theory is that Disney, in trying to save money, stopped paying off the media, so they're actually being truthful now.
Yeah, they had to
make
truthful.
that.
Well,
I did make that assumption too. Yeah.
They're spending all their money on the Chinese bot farms. They were positive review bombing Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't know if critics have ever really mattered, especially when it comes to certain movies. Like, because we used to even call them critic proof, right? Back in the day. I do agree with what Brian said, though, about, I mean, we have a world now where we can go see what a bunch of our friends thought about a movie or people like us. That is what's different. I never trust what's going on with the critics because I know they always have ulterior motives or a bias. I've never trusted critics since way back when. Even two of my favorite critics of all times have had their own biases, and that's like Siskel and Ebert. For some reason had some hatred for slasher films, and they made no sense on their explanation for it. But I digress. Yeah, like
Speaking
I
of
don't think critics matter.
Speaking of not trusting critics, Matt Vader 74, we have this chat from Gavin Blackburn. John Campea asked 30,000 of his followers to unsub over this movie, so that's a win.
Really? If you didn't agree with John Campea, he wanted you to unsub?
Apparently.
That's pretty wild.
Dragger.
But that's another
Shocker.
kind of like broader issue where we had Grace Randolph basically come out and said, if you don't like this movie, you're a racist.
Yeah. She said something about perfect film. Yeah. There's nothing not to like about this film or something.
Well, we all know Grace has such exquisite taste in films. So
Grace Randolph, get a better mic, chick. I don't get it. How do you have that many subscribers on YouTube and you're still using a cheap mic from a dollar store? I don't understand. Everybody's every time, dude.
Should we send her one? Should we buy her one?
Yeah, I think we just buy like a $40 mic, like a $40 little Yeti Express would increase the quality of her channel by tenfold.
Yeah.
God damn, that person bothers me.
We love Grace. I love Grace. I want to marry her.
So.
Yeah. I don't want to listen to her. I just want to. Yeah. All right. Vader, did you have any thoughts on whether or not we can trust Rotten Tomatoes anymore?
Well, we all know we can't trust Rotten Tomatoes, right? We're all going to
obviously
we're all going to take whatever numbers they give us, and we're going to twist it and turn it and mold it into whatever narrative we want to put out there. So it really doesn't matter what their numbers say. But I do, like Brian said, I used to go more toward the audience score, because it, for the most part, always reflected kind of what I had to say. But I can't trust it anymore, apparently, because they they're just going to put up whatever number they want, I guess. So
You just got to go in there and you got to hit the button to show all now.
yeah, I guess like over in Rumble, we have a Rumble chat, and there's a thing in here that says from Rot X Hippie, 95%. So only artards buy tickets through Fandango, apparently. So yeah, I like that. So that's apparently how it rolls over there.
Yeah, you gotta love Rumble and just anything goes.
Rumble, yeah.
Yeah, we are simul streaming to our Rumble channel, our Twitch channel, our Kick channel, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Real quick, before we hit some super chats, I just want to highlight this. Dungeon Master Blaster, Kadish is right. Brian.
What?
Kadish is right. Brian is not.
What did we disagree on?
Just everything. Just in general.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
What are you guys talking? What are you talking about, man? Explain yourself.
Right. Real quick, from Bob Dorsey, one of our salty superstars, for $25. Can we stop calling it Disney live action? It's always two humans on a green screen. By their own standards, Bedknobs and Broomsticks was live action.
I agree with Bob here, and I've
absolutely,
made
Bob.
that point too, is that they're not really live action.
No.
They're just CGI animation as opposed to hand-drawn animation, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you could even argue that Halle Bailey really isn't there most of the time, because that's what some people were complaining about, is how bad it looks that her face is like put on this CGI body a lot of the time when she's swinging around.
Looks so gross.
Also from Bob Dorsey for another $25. Thank you, sir. Rotten Tomatoes gave one of Dave Chappelle's stand-ups like a 50%. I can't remember. At that time, they became non-relevant.
Well, they were non-relevant before that. And that's the other thing, is people call Rotten Tomatoes a thing like it's an individual. It's not. It's an aggregator for a bunch of other people and critics. So at the end of the day, that's the other thing I love about it, is when you read the critics' scores on there, and they're like, oh, this movie is a desperate attempt to cash in on classic Disney, love. Halle Bailey did okay, and they'll still give it a passing rating. It's like, that's not a positive review. And that's what a lot of these read like. And it's sad because the critic themselves get to pick the review. And I think you guys are right. It's somewhere between being paid off and not being paid off at the end of the day. And Disney's losing money. They don't have the money to be spending on the critics no more.
Hey guys, if you like this podcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel and comment below on your favorite video as well. That goes a long way with helping us boost our channel and get out there in front of more people. And it lets YouTube know that we're doing something right. And if you want to catch us live, we go live 2 times a week, once on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time and on Tuesdays at 1:30 p.m. Pacific time. So join us there in the chat. We will see you on the live stream. Stay salty.